Mrs. Chair, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, before I start speaking on the Greek financial system and its prospects, I heard the two discussions before on ownership, and I could not help it but remember the dialogue between the Athenians and the Melians when Thucydides wrote, and it's not a good translation, but it says something like this: when bargaining power is not equally distributed, the strong impose what their power allows them to, while the weak backtrack and suffer what they must. So the relationship between creditors and debtors is not always an equal relationship. So we really should remember this as we move forward. It's a great pleasure for me to address this audience and this prestigious forum that provides really a platform for dialogue and discussion on a wide range of pending issues. After 6 years of deep economic recession, the Greek banking system is in a transition. The recapitalization process is over, and it has been largely very successful. Capital adequacy stands today at over 18%, and remember that it was about 12.2% at the end of 2015. The respective ratio among European banks stands at 16.7%. So Greek banks are, following the recapitalization, are overcapitalized. Having regained solvency and sustainability, the Greek banking system is now called upon to play a catalytic role in rebooting economic activity and supporting growth. In any case, this is its main role: to be able to channel credit to households and businesses under the guiding principles of transparency, accountability, and sustainability. Allow me to structure my speech under 5 basic challenges, the 5 basic challenges that the Greek banking system faces today. First challenge: the restoration of trust and confidence in the financial system that would allow the lifting of capital controls and the eventual return of bank deposits. The banking system, not only in Greece, but also internationally, is not isolated from the wider economic and political environment. This is especially true in Greece, a country which, due to its growing fiscal and current account deficits in the past, and its over-indebtedness as a result, became vulnerable to a speculative attack in its sovereign bond market. This macro-prudential systemic crisis brought about a banking crisis, which is actually the opposite of what occurred in most other countries, including Cyprus, for which we heard about, where the crisis originated in the banking sector and spread to the rest of the economy. In Greece, the opposite happened. Remember that in 2007, non-performing loans accounted for only 4.5% of total loans. As the crisis evolved, with austerity measures reducing purchasing power and standards of living, and political and economic uncertainty on the rise, especially during the last year, NPLs rose to 44.2%. This is the official December 2015 figure, while outstanding deposits and repos decreased dramatically by approximately 106 million euros between December 2008 and April 2016. So we had a dramatic rise in NPLs at the same time with a dramatic decline in deposits. A precondition, therefore, to restore trust and confidence is to entrench perceptions that the country has regained political and economic stability. Put differently, the removal of macroprudential systemic uncertainty is a prerequisite for the restoration of confidence to the banking system. The successful completion of the first review of the Greek program and its effective implementation is the most important move for the restoration of confidence, the gradual return to normalcy, and an improvement in expectations. Because let us not forget that it is expectations that drive investment and that really shape the business climate in any country. 3 other imminent developments will also contribute significantly to such positive signaling and the replenishment of liquidity. First, the decoupling of Greek banks from relatively expensive borrowing from the Emergency Liquidity Assistance Program and the acceptance of Greek bonds as collaterals to be announced probably today. This will lower borrowing costs for the Greek banking system and produce net annual gains of the order of 150 million euros. Secondly, the reduction of the haircut applied to collateral provided by Greek banks to the ECB from 40 to 45%, which is the current rate, to its January 2015 rate of 20 to 25%, expected during the next couple of months. This will also be an important step in the same direction. Last but not least, the participation of Greek government bonds in the ECB's quantitative easing program will contribute significantly to the replenishment of liquidity. The sooner uncertainty is reduced and confidence is restored, the easier it will be to eliminate capital controls, enhance the gradual return of deposits, and improve NPL performance. The second challenge is to shift funds from non-productive to productive business operations. Under strict credit conditions, such as the ones existing in Greece, a key factor to achieve this is the effective management of non-performing loans. We already heard a lot about that. And especially, I would note the restructuring of the bank's corporate portfolios. This would allow banks to lower capital requirements for provisions and to free significant resources towards financing the real economy and reinvigorating viable enterprises. It would also spur economic activity, since a successful restructuring of corporate loans will provide incentives for new capital injection into viable but over-indebted enterprises which presently remain idle. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not forget that any new investment takes about 3 to 4 years at least for bearing fruit. The restructuring of loans of enterprises which are viable but over-indebted could really provide an impetus for short-run recovery. To that end, legal or tax disincentives for the restructuring of loans should be lifted, while banks should become themselves much more proactive in coordinating and reaching sustainable solutions with a transfer or sale, where needed, of NPLs to third parties. One short note, all banks have invested quite a lot, both in infrastructure and human personnel, in developing internally special asset units for the restructuring of loans. So they want to take advantage of the potential uplift. So the challenge here is to really manage the loans quite cleverly and decide which of these loans should they restructure following the internal procedures and which ones they might be better off transferring or selling to third parties. And this is a major decision that all banks will have to take. The third challenge, to adopt and adjust operations and new requirements imposed by the SSM's new regulatory and supervisory framework. Responding to the financial crisis, the EU has adopted a new regulatory framework for the banking sector. The 3 pillars of the banking union, the single supervisory mechanism, the single resolution mechanism, and the European deposit insurance schemes have created a demanding regulatory environment which includes much stronger prudential requirements for banks, higher capital requirements, stricter supervision of the business models, demanding improved risk management practices and corporate governance structures. This new regulatory and supervisory regime is needed to ensure financial stability and to increase the resilience of the banks. However, the adjustment also generates important costs, and fears of potential over-regulation are on the rise. Again, meeting this challenge requires investment in IT systems and people, but also reorganization of the bank's operational and governance models. I would say it also needs very close collaboration between the banks themselves and the supervisor. Fourth challenge, to remain competitive and profitable in a new digital era. Dear friends, the banking landscape is changing dramatically. New actors, such as digital platforms, are providing an increasing number of banking services, while a new generation of clients, the so-called iPhone generation, is seeking speedy, safe services through electronic and fintech transactions. To find new sources of profits as competition increases, banks need to invest heavily in IT and innovation, to design and deliver much more sophisticated products and integrated services to capture their markets, and to address digital-friendly customers, empower employees and increase their skills, adopt fast-track internal processes for decision-making. They also need to develop innovative financial instruments and services, better targeting segments of the market, most notably the small and medium enterprises which are prevalent in Greece, to improve access and financial inclusion. And this gives me the opportunity to say that if you have 5 minutes, go out at the NBG booth and look at the Act for Greece crowdfunding platform which we developed, as crowdfunding is one of such innovative financial instruments that NBG is proud to have launched on February 1st. Fifth challenge, to improve corporate governance frameworks and risk management systems so as to respond effectively to the above challenges while ensuring greater transparency, accountability, and responsibility in decision-making. This is essential if banks are to implement effectively their restructuring plans and build up or rebuild trust between the banking system and society. Effective board structures is critical to the proper functioning of the banking sector, especially in Greece, where the industry faces such pressing challenges. Each board should collectively possess the skills capable to address complex and critical tasks, like the effective restructuring of NPLs and the implementation of restructuring plans, which we have all agreed with DG.COM. However, an effective board should also comprise of individuals with a balance of skills who can challenge conventional thinking, provide strategic guidance, and ensure effective supervision. The appropriate mix of knowledge, competences, and expertise among board members is a fundamental corporate governance best practice proposed by all the relevant international bodies like the OECD, the Bank of International Settlements, and the European Commission. The present law, which is today in Greece, pertaining to the bank's corporate structures, needs to be amended in that light. Ladies and gentlemen, addressing the above challenges requires well-designed strategies and effective and coherent decision-making. It requires, more importantly, close collaboration between the Greek financial system, its supervisor, namely the SSM, the ECB, and the Bank of Greece, all other EU institutions, most notably the Commission and the ESM, the Greek government, and I would say last but not least, our clients, namely the major social partners, the business community, the SME community, etc. This is the most important challenge we are all facing, to accept the urgent need for a renewed partnership between all stakeholders and rebuild trust in our collective capacity to address problems and promote effective solutions. Thank you.